A web page without color is like a programmer without coffee. Well, not exactly, but you get my point. We need color rules. My first step will be to create a folder named skins in the CSS folder and add one skin for now named default. I'll also create two template files called colorvarstemplate.scss and skintemplate.scss. These two files will contain CSS rules with values different variables. Now, in the default folder, we'll add a vars.scss file for our color variables. Let me add some values in there. In my template SCSS files, I'll add my color variables. In the template files, we'll include the CSS rules as mentioned previously. We'll include these template files in our skins to load them with the variables and colors of the skin. But the rules will be the same. You can check out this CSS code in the demo files. And in each skin, we'll create our files that first include the variables of that skin and then the generic template. We'll open package.json and add some new node modules. Then, in gulpfile.js, we will initialize the modules, add a new Sass task to compile the skins as well, create a copy task to copy the color vars body CSS file to the color vars CSS file, create an insert task to append the style tag in the color vars CSS file, and add a default task that will run a sequence of tasks. It will first run the Sass, then the copy task, and finally the insert task. Now, if we run npm install on git bash to install the modules and run gulp on git bash, it will run the sequence of tasks located in the default task. In the CSS file created, you can see the CSS rules with the corresponding variables. In the color.css file, we have our standard CSS rules that color our elements and classes. Lastly, in colorvars.css, you can preview the tag that was appended through the gulp insert task. Time to include our skins in our application. I'll include these CSS files with Polymer's special link tag. By now, you should be okay with the colors.css class. However, you may be a bit curious on what the colorvars.css file is all about. And why did we include it in the page with the rel import attribute and not with the rel style sheet attribute? If you visit the link below, you'll notice a very cool new CSS3 feature, which are CSS variables. Polymer implements this technology seamlessly in its framework. Let us review an example. I'll open git bash and run node demoserver/app.js to load my site. After refreshing the site, we can see the colors loading properly. Returning to PDDrawer, let us create a new div in our main section with the class mainSite. Then, we'll add the background color for that section, and as a background color, we'll use the primary color dark variable declared in the colorvars CSS file. After refreshing the page, we can see that the section defined has the primary dark color. So, after defining a variable, importing it with the rel import tag, we can use those variables in our elements. Polymer uses certain variables in all of its elements. This would be a good time to include in bower.json all of the elements that we'll be using in our project, and run bower install to install them. For example, if we open the paper icon button element, you can see that it is applying the primary text color variable. If we visit materialpalette.com and select two colors, click on download and polymer, you can see a collection of variables depending on the colors we selected. If we were to import these parameters in our PD dashboard element, then any element in the PD dashboard would implement the color palette selected with the variable specified.